Wow. Esteemed Chairperson, Board of Governors, Shri Kulkarni, Director in Charge, Professor Saibal Chattopadhyay, Chairperson, Convocation Committee, Professor Swamikanti Chakrabarti, all the chairs of the various courses, Board of Governors, faculty, the heroes of today, the entire graduating MBA. Come on, guys, give yourselves a cheer. It's a big day. And equally for your parents and all your families out here who've actually also been with you while it's happened. It's a fantastic day. And I'm so thrilled to be standing here in front of you. I was also a very proud alumni of this fantastic institution from the 23rd batch. 37 years have elapsed. When I was here, there was only one academic block. It used to be L1, L2, L3 is probably still there. I used to like L3 the most, didn't care too much about L2. Now I believe we've got a few new academic block. That time we only had about 150 students in the PGP across both Old Hostel, Ramanuja Hall and White House Tagore Hall. Now I believe you guys have got two more hostels, LVH and the new hostel, and I believe they're about, well, you can see there were almost 500 of you passing out today. Big difference. We used to have a Howrah Bridge, and that Howrah Bridge used to be the ones where we used to do our jogs, and I saw behind the MDC, the old Howrah Bridge is still there, but I think you have a second bridge also now. From LVH, I think you can see it, so you got another bridge now. Fortunately, I still see the jetty. I thought that tire had gone, but the tire is very much there. Now only there's a sapling coming out of it. We used to sit on the tire and never let anything grow out there. God, so much nostalgia. You know, when we were there used to be these three brothers, Mihir, Adhir, and Samir, who for several years used to run the canteen, or not a canteen, a dhaba, just outside the gate. We used to go there every day for our chai and singhadas. And that was a little mafia of its own in this place. It was absolutely incredible. I now understand you have two places called Mohanda and Kotla. I believe so you guys have moved on in life. Glad to hear that the inter-IIMs are still active. We used to have a cricket tournament called Trout and Rice. Now I think that gave way to the wars that you started between the hostels. I hope after COVID it's again resumed. I'm not sure if you still have the tradition in everybody's birthday. They used to go to their hostel and treat everybody to mishtis, which you used to get from Bihala. I don't know whether you do that now, but it used to be a great tradition then. But it is very heartening to know that Joka Bandstand is still alive and kicking. I was there on my 35th sort of reunion, and our batch guys, Joka JBS guys, jammed with your JBS group, and we had some most memorable evening that night when the two groups played, 35 years apart. Boy, so much nostalgia. So as I stand before you, and as you embark on your journey in the corporate world, I'm pretty much reminded of when I was in the same place as you. If I have to give you the benefit of my journey, I'm going to try to distill some lessons that I've learned over these 35 years, which I am pretty convinced will help you have a productive career. So treat it as maybe a lesson. I know your classes are over, lessons are over, but this is a lesson from the real world. I hope you find it useful. I'm going to cover three areas. What is it that the business world actually expects from you? And what are the skills that you require to deliver? Then I'm going to tell you about 6 personal attitudes or behaviors that if you actually inculcate, you are bound to be associated more with success. And then finally, in the end, I want to make just one perspective I want to offer. The world that we are living in is a very chaotic world. So I'll give you my reading of how to manage this very mad world that we are in today. So here goes. Look, in the 37 years that I've passed out, the importance of management education has only grown. It's evident, right? There were only 3 IIMs when I was there, Now there are 21, maybe now going on to 22. There used to be collectively about 450 people who were released into the management stream. Now they're close to 5,000. Point is, and it's very heartening to know, I believe you had a almost 100% sort of recruitment season, so congratulations to you guys. But what is it that they're coming to you, and what is it about this premium business education that makes the business world come to you and sort of also value your premium? The answer, I believe, gets sort of captured by an analogy that we use in our advertising world, and that is called a pitch. What is a pitch? That is the 1 hour that we get to tell a client how we and only we can solve his business problem better than others. It requires a comprehensive understanding of the client's business, the entire act of assimilating and distilling it into a core framework that we can call strategy, and our ability to use the latest domain knowledge, tools, technology, talent, and processes to deliver it. At a softer level, it involves putting the pitch team into a high-pressure, time-bound, very, very collaborative kind of environment where time management is truly tested. Sounds familiar to your case study approach, probably, but believe me, it's way, way, way more intense, and in the real world, way more real, because the stakes are huge. So really the expectation, and that is the microcosm of what we do in an agency, but that pretty much captures what the world wants from you. What it wants from you, brilliant people, is to apply the multifunctional knowledge that you've gained here and apply it to unstructured problems, and then have the ability to effectively execute them across interdisciplinary teams in a reasonably high pressure environment. Said a lot. Multifunctional knowledge, everything is unstructured, you've got to put a structure to it. Then of course you've got to be able to execute it with teamwork, high pressure, all that. The first thing, and I'm going to come to how to address this, but the first thing you must keep in mind, the reality check. You will not be expected to deliver strategy from Monday when you join into your work. There will be a lot of unlearning and relearning as you get into the trenches. You have to pick up the industry knowledge, what constitutes success and how to get it. The execution and foundational building blocks will be what you really need to learn and master. So my first piece of advice to you is to be a sponge. A sponge. Absorb all the information that is being thrown at you and never ever hesitate to ask a question. Nothing called a dumb question. Be curious when you start your journey and never stop being curious. These days, 35 years later, I'm being hit by AI, I'm being hit by machine learning. I hadn't learned any of this. You guys know more about it than I do. The only way I can navigate it is by being curious, sitting with smart people and getting on top of it. It never changes, but this one thing is one thing you must embrace. Now, the fact I'm here before you, believe me, it's a huge honor for me to be in my alma mater in front of you, to actually be giving you this address. Now, why was I even thought of? Why did they call me as a chief guest? Professor Saibal, he went and gave some very generous statements about me in the beginning. But the reality is, I guess somewhere I was part of a leadership team, which I then finally led a company which was a startup, you could say, in a sense. We put together companies and we made it into an undisputed leader in the advertising world. I got a chance to become a global CEO of one of the agencies there. Started representing a bunch of industry bodies, and then after that, one of the icons in our industry, he found it suitable to sort of tie up with me as like a partner, so I got a chance to now become an entrepreneur and not just a professional. And then, so somewhere all of these, I guess it feels good, but all of these have really come in the last maybe 15 years, 18 years. The part which probably leads up to this is all the payback. The part which leads up to is the foundation, which you are right now going to actually be going. And this is where I want to talk about 7 what count factors. These are the skills, it's called word count factors, and I learned them in Procter & Gamble, my first job, and where we also had a training with Stephen Covey's famous 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I sort of mishmashed them both. Just remember these 7, and this speech is printed, you can read it if you want to go later. Number 1, thinking and problem solving. What this means is, at one level, strategic thinking, but all problems in the real world are very unstructured. Your ability to put it into the structure and get to the heart of what exactly the real issue is. Quite often when they say, my stocks are not moving, what problem do I have? Is pricing a problem? Pricing may not even be a problem. Your ability to use all your strengths, skills, view it as a problem-solving situation, come out to the heart of it, and this is where your case study approach is going to help you. And at the same time, this is also going to be one of the things you see yourselves differentiating from the rest. Thinking and problem solving, 1. 2, this is important, initiative and follow through. This is all about getting things done. At one level, it could be jugaad. At the other levels, it is basically overcoming obstacles to make things happen. Now, this is where the best sign of this is, and I've seen this, that's why I'm telling you, a lot of people come in and say, oh my God, I'm in the real world, I can't afford to make a mistake. So for every small time when there's a blockage, you go to your boss and say, what should I do? No problem, do it once, twice, whatever. But beyond a point, just stop and think, what is my boss going to tell me that I probably don't know? Don't be afraid of making a mistake. If you make it more than once, it's an issue, but don't be afraid of making a mistake once. If you are seen as a person that once somebody gives a responsibility to do, it gets done, you will get more responsibility and you'll grow faster. Initiative and follow through is fantastic. And this is something that you will be tested on the minute you hit the ground. So that's number 2. Working effectively with others, critical, it makes or breaks careers. And this is not about being a nice guy. It is working effectively with others despite conflict. You will soon find out in life that individual brilliance can only take you so far. It's a team always that succeeds. For this, my hack is really 3 mantras. 1 is, seek to understand before being understood. We all have this tendency to always, this is what I mean, you don't know what I mean, I'm trying to tell you, can't you understand what I'm trying to say? Try to understand what he or she is saying and then take a point of view. You will see it just open doors like mad when you seek to understand before being understood. Think win-win. In any kind of a situation, confrontation should be the last resort. Try to think win-win if you can. And always make the other guy look good. You do that and something, people will want to work with you. It will be productive teams. And that I think is going to help you in life. 4th is communication, and I'm not talking the ability to talk fancy language or write creative English, or for that matter, any other language. This is about organizing your thoughts, both in writing and orally, and in a very compelling and succinct manner, make your point. This again, people will call it in different forms, storytelling, the narrative, but it's all about communication and how you come across and how compelling you are will be how you present your thoughts. Then there is creativity. This is not to be again confused with creative writing or visualization. This is the ability to think out of the box and find innovative solutions. So the entire startup India is completely out of this creativity piece where people are coming out with new ideas, new ways of solving problems. And then there's leadership. What is leadership? The ability to provide a clear way forward. The problem that you're going to see in a work environment is people get very confused as to how to move forward. Your ability to, again, it's linked to thinking and problem solving. If you can see the end, if you begin with the end in mind, if you know where it is, if you can actually rally people and say, if you go in this particular direction, things are likely to go, and you start getting some amount of currency to that, you got the makings of a leader. You'll be surprised how many people don't take the initiative to take on leadership, and for many years, they are quite happy being led. This is something that if you start right from day one, it will become of the way you work and it's going to help you enormously. And not the least, technical skills. This is the stuff that you must absorb right from day one. Whatever domain you're in, it could be marketing, finance, market research, supply chain management, operations research, data analytics, coding, HR, machine learning, AI, any of these. When you go down into your first job, start building this like a sponge, picking it all up. This is the part which in the first year you must master. These 7, I'm just thinking, problem solving, initiative follow through, working effectively with others, communication, creativity, leadership, and technical skills. Year on year, I don't know how your appraisals are going to be, everybody has a different way, but you write out for yourself in the last year, what have I done to actually move the game forward in this? Just be true to yourself. If you've done something good, I can guarantee you'll have a very successful career. That's for the skills. Now let's come down to the attitudes you have to display in order to navigate your career successfully. Number 1, find your passion in your work. You have to enjoy your work to be successful, as simple as that. The earlier you find your passion, the happier, more successful you will be. If you treat your jobs as something to pay the bills, that's all it's going to do. If you are driven about making a difference, about something that you truly, truly believe in, you probably will make that difference. Now, this is something that I haven't told too many people, and I'm actually feeling a little, some trepidation that in a 2,000 member thing, I'm revealing my inner thoughts. But it was sometime 89 or 90, it was one of the, in a training that we went to, the trainer told us, take out a piece of paper, write on it, what do you want your career epitaph to be? The tombstone, when your career ends, what you want it to be. He said, write it down, fold it, put it in your wallet, don't tell anybody about it. I wrote, to be India's greatest marketer. Now I felt pretty, stupid writing it. I said, that sounds pretty arrogant to write, to be India's greatest marketer. But I said, hell, nobody else is going to see it, only I am seeing it, I put it into my wallet. Now I may not have got there, far from it maybe. But the point is that somewhere, if you may have heard of a word called creative visualization. If it's there in your subliminal, it starts manifesting itself. And I would argue that in my life, in this marketing domain that I've been in for the last 37 years, I've probably gone on further than many people who are my peers. So another piece of advice I'll give you is, you've all got your jobs, go there maybe straight away, right now, week from now, 2 weeks from now, whenever you're there, write down on a piece of paper what you want in your career epitaph. Don't show it to anyone. You might even change it later, but write it down. It's going to work on you in positive ways that you don't realize. Number 2, success does not come from doing brilliant things every day. You can't. Nobody can be brilliant every day. All you need to do day after day is to just show up and show hunger. Now, showing up is different from landing up. Show up means that you approach every day with purpose, passion, and intent. Now, landing up, and I've seen so much of landing up, people come in, sit down, log into their mails, and then say, bel mujhe maar. It is, what is the first crisis that is going to come to me? What is my boss going to tell me? What is whatever the aspect of my job, come hit me. Now, if you do that, you'll stay hit, you'll always be in crisis mode. The minute you come in with some amount of purpose, you pretty much proactively and productively plan your day, and you're actually going to make a difference. You're going to go back with more energy. You're also going to go back earlier. You're going to have a life. But if you actually just come in and say, land up and don't show up, you will be in a constant crisis mode and catch-up mode. Now, separately but slightly relatedly, I also believe a rolling stone gathers no moss. I find that a lot of youngsters are changing their 5 jobs in as many years. In the 37 years after my MBA, I've had 4 organizations that I've worked with: Procter & Gamble 8 years, Coke 5 years, Star TV for a certain reason was only 1 year, and now then the WPP Group M was 14 years, and now I've been with Madison 9 years. Now, in each case when I moved, I needed to answer the question to myself, why am I leaving my current organization? That question needs to be answered much more than why am I joining the other one? Why am I joining the other one? The guy is doubling my salary, he's giving me a better, higher paid job, it's giving me some responsibilities. But ask yourselves the question, why am I leaving my current job? That is critical. Put a value on your personal equity. Am I valued more if I stay on in my current organization? Or will I get valued more by moving to the next organization? Values are very subjective. I see values being dimensionalized in 5 ways. One is money. Some people value money means I want material. So really, some people really covet money in a big way. Nothing wrong with that. But that's one. There's recognition. Then there is power. There's fame, there's achievement, and creative stroke intellectual satisfaction. To me, I think these are the 5 core drivers. Now, at any point in time, you be clear about which one is your core driver. This will change across your career, but let that drive you. Now, if you're finding at that point in time that the current job is falling short and at a value-based level, it's not going to be giving you more sort of fillip, then there's possibly a chance that you should move. You know, there are toxic jobs, toxic bosses are good reasons to leave. But I've also seen a lot of people, whenever they have an issue, they externalize it. If you're doing too much of this, chances are that you should internalize. The problem could lie with you. And I'm telling you that at least all the successful careers I've seen, most successful careers that I've seen, people have been long-term test players rather than T20 players. Another piece of advice on managing your career, a career is not a competitive sport. You know, it's unfathomable about how many people look over their shoulder to see how their peers are doing. You know, the proverbial rat race. Are they earning more than me? Are they advancing in their careers more than me? Are they getting better opportunities? These inner voices are distractions. They're toxic. Treat your career like a game of golf. You're playing with yourself. Build your skills, control your mind. And you know, you will see that as you do that, you'll find all the handicaps start coming down in more ways than one. Also remember that your career is a marathon. And this piece of advice I'm going to give you is said a little feelingly because I did not practice it. And if there is one regret in my life, it's probably this one. Don't become a slave to your job. Have a hobby where you build a skill. Seeing movies, seeing content is not a hobby. But build a skill apart from what you're doing in your work. Develop multiple interests. Workaholics not only tend to be more dull people, they're not also as successful and as ones who play in addition to work. This phenomenon Stephen Covey calls sharpening the saw. New skills and experiences change perspectives and prevent you from falling into a rut. And the last sort of behavior or attitude is build a network. I define a network as the ability to get something done over a phone call. In the workplace, how you deal with colleagues, business partners, customers will over years become your biggest strength. If you conduct yourself with integrity, fairness, empathy, you will find the world conspiring to support you. I think Mr. Kulkarni before this gave a fantastic sort of call to you on the importance of trust, integrity. Now you just be a decent person, keep all your dealings decent, make sure that your conscience is clear, and if you do that with all people, you'll find that everybody conspires to help you. So I've told you some skills, I've told you some behaviors. Now I'm just going to, in conclusion, tell you about the kind of environment that you're going to be walking into. We are in a very high flux global environment. There's a word that I learned early in life called discontinuity. So for a long time, things keep on going like in a pretty even keel, and suddenly a discontinuity happens, and everything, rules of the game completely change, and you have to adapt pretty fast. In my 37 years, I have seen 8 discontinuities. The very first discontinuity was the 1991 liberalization, which rolled out over a little period, But I started working in 88, and prior to that, a little bit 2 years before my MBA. At that time, probably in that entire decade, there were three major corporate, I think, big things. One was maybe Maruti 800 launch. Second one was commercialization of TV after the Asian Games. And then after TV, you started seeing ads on TV. And third is, to some extent, in the mid-70s, when some of the MNCs had gone out, their void was filled with a few of the companies which had started Indian companies, and there was to some extent a birth of some of the Indian companies at that point in time, or rebirth. Come 1991, and when the licensing Raj had ended and people could get 100% FDI, so many places, the entire piece about whatever, automotive, technology, FMCG, BFSI, IT, telecom, durables, that entire boom happened right now, and that entire boom pretty much continued for a long time. This was really the time that consumers started exercising the choice, and the field that I'm in, marketing, we truly had a role to play, because earlier it was all about a supply-based economy, and now you really had a demand one, which you had to tap the demand. The second discontinuity was the mobile revolution. It changed the way people communicated. It started with voice, and then very, very quickly went to, earlier what was something called VAS, but curiously now, every word, every guy in the rural India will also, what does he call it? He calls it data. And now this data, because of the cheap data that's made available to you, voice has actually become a smaller player, and everything else to do with data is running your entire life. So the way you adapt to a data-based entire economy is completely different rules of the game. Again, after this data and all this digitization led to e-commerce, social media, entire consumption of content on a phone rather than just a TV set or a newspaper or radio, whatever, the old legacy mediums. This in turn again spawned so many, a tech variant to every industry. So you had all the e-commerce marketplaces, fintech, edtech, travel and tourism, the entire taxis, the sharing. So the entire piece that you're seeing was a discontinuity, and that again, you've seen how it's been moving. The mother of, okay, then the entire NPCI-led digital payments. It's a complete this thing. And if you look at data, and if you look at NPCI and the entire digital payments piece, India has been at the vanguard of things. We are ahead of almost most countries. We'll probably be in the top 3 countries, if not in some cases the topmost country when it comes to all of these. Huge, huge implications. Mother of all discontinuities, of course, was COVID. It had mind-numbing implications on our social and personal fabrics. But again, it gave another hockey stick jump to the entire digitization of everything that we do. It made the sheer act, to some extent, I like physical meetings much more than work from home and video meetings, but it made that a complete reality, an alternative reality to the way we work. And now we have the next big, huge sort of discontinuity, which is the entire ML or AI-based stuff. The age of AI now is coming into the age of prompts. I remember when I was in college, I used to get excited if there was an open book exam until I found out how difficult open book exams were. Now you've got everything, right? You've got the full answer to your problem available through LLMs, but you still have to apply yourselves to make sure that you're adding value beyond what the engines can do. Also, as we speak right now, of course, we are having the new kind of discontinuity which nobody knows how it's going to end, which is the global trade wars, which are now just starting. US has taken the first salvo, and now China has retorted. Let's see how this plays out. But this is a real crazy world. Now, what has all this little brief history got to do with a convocation address? You may have noticed that the frequency at these discontinuities that I've just narrated, they're now happening faster and faster. It is called a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And that is the world that you're going to go into. You have been taught right now, master the subject, and through that, and show through your mastery your skills. It's going to be very bewildering when you try to master a subject where the syllabus keeps changing and the game keeps changing almost every day. So at this point in time, my advice to you, and it's a very philosophical point, learn to operate in a beta mode. A beta mode is experiment, learn, build capability, repeat. The key point is to look for progress over perfection. So let me take an example. advertising, marketing, we have market mix modelings based on statistical multivariate modeling that we do. Now the same thing on steroids can be done by ML AI based modeling. It is not perfect, but it gives you countless more, its predictability is pretty high more often than not, but it doesn't explain the interplays. So, but it's okay working with that, but at the same time, on the fly, trying to see, covering up the holes. You're going to see this every day in every aspect of your life. So you will, the AI guys call it waving the hand. It's a certain leap of faith. You may not be able to go and pinpoint every logical next step, but then at some point in time, take the plunge, learn, fill the gap, move. So, you're all graduating in an India that is very different from when I did. I started off in a pre-liberalization land when we looked to the West or the world for inspiration, to now, without doubt, where every country in the world is looking to India for inspiration, innovation, talent, and growth. The world is truly your oyster. You have the world open for you to conquer. To navigate this world today, I've tried to offer you roughly 8 tips. Be curious now and forever. Hone the 7 what count factors for career success. Find your work passion early in life and you won't have to work a single day in your life. Just show up every day with hunger, purpose, and the will to make a difference, and you will succeed. You're likely to grow more if you stay in an organization longer. Chart your own course, make a difference. Don't waste energy looking over your shoulder about what the next guy is doing. Sharpen the saw, don't let the work define you, and develop interests and to build a network. And lastly, learn to thrive in a beta mode. I wish you all a wonderful future. You are the future of the country. Make sure you make a difference.